All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are set. So, Brandi, whenever you're ready.
All right, today is July 15th, 2020. It is 11:12 in the morning, and I am Brandi Lee, and I will be interviewing Mr. Ed Council in Brunswick, Georgia. This interview is part of the Albany Street and African American Experience Project for Dr. Hector Mumford at the College of Coastal Georgia.
One addition there, we're actually in St. Simon's Island, not Brunswick.
Ah!
There we go.
Thank you. I'm in Brunswick.
Oh, you're in Brunswick.
Okay. Mr. Council, can you tell me what your full name is?
Edward J. stands for Julius Council.
And where were you born?
I was born in Jacksonville, Florida.
And when were you born?
I was born September the 3rd, 1940.
All right. And did you grow up in Jacksonville or somewhere else?
As a little boy, I grew up there until the year of 1950. At that time, my family moved from Jacksonville. We lived in Blodgett's Homes, which is a project housing at that time, and we moved here to St. Simon's Island, Georgia in the year of 1950. My mother and my grandmother, my brother Damon Council, who is now still living in Jacksonville, we both moved here in 1950 to St. Simon's Island, Georgia, 1209 Demery Road, St. Simon's.
Okay, and are you still living there now?
My son lives now, Gary Council lives in that old house on Demery Road, which is 1209. I built my home in the back of him, which my house is 300 feet off of Demery Road, sitting on the Ball Diamond, Demery Park. My address is 1205 Demery.
Okay, how interesting. So starting around 1950, when you moved to St. Simon's, can you tell me what your childhood was like there?
I had a very good childhood. We didn't have the best of everything, but I lived with my grandmother and my aunt and my mother, and we survived. We didn't have the luxury as the rich people on St. Simon's had, but we were healthy and we were happy. We always had food to eat, and we had a nice tin roof over our heads, which I miss nowadays, that tin roof. When it rained, you slept.
Well, that's right. You know, tin roofs are making a comeback.
Yes, the only trouble with the tin roof, we had leaks, and sometimes it leaked right in the middle of the bed. But we still survived.
All right. So it was you, your mom, your aunt, and your brother. Is that all that your family was at that time?
That's correct. Mother was not married at that time. She was divorced. My grandmother and my aunt was also single. Matter of fact, my aunt at that time, she was divorced from a doctor, Dr. Albury. Her name was Lavinia Anderson Albury, and my grandmother was Julia Kane. And they were two sisters, and we all lived together in the same house at 1209 Demery.
Okay. And where did you go to school?
I went to school from kindergarten up until St. Simon's Island, Georgia. We had something called a one cloak room, where all the kids on St. Simon's, which was black, that was a black school, and we all congregated in one room taught by two teachers, Mr. and Mrs. Baisden at that time. We went up into the 6th grade, from kindergarten to 6th grade, and we had a lot of fun together. Boys and the girls, we all was in the same classroom together. We had our lunches. We didn't have cafeteria, cold water during that time. We had water fountains. Of course, we had what we call a pump, and we had to prime the pump to get the water out of the pump. And we all had a lunchroom where we had brought our lunch from home, and we all had a little room where we ate at. So all the kids on St. Simon's knew each other because each day we congregated at that school, and we all was taught together in one room up until the 6th grade.
How was that? Being together like that and learning with other people who are older than you?
Yes, we were different ages at that time. But the teachers had one group at one time and another group at another time.
Now, this wasn't the Harrington School, right? This was
No, that Harrington was similar to our school here on St. Simon's, which was Baisden Lane, not Baisden Lane, but at the end of George Lotson Lane.
Oh, and was there a name for the school?
That was St. Simon's Elementary School at that time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, that was a segregated school, is that correct?
That's correct. It was a segregated school.
Was there another school on the islands that were for the white children?
There was, I'm not too familiar about the kindergarten school for whites on St. Simon's, but I do know that they mostly went to Glen Academy, and I don't recall where the elementary schools was. They had several white schools elementary at that time, but I'm not familiar with any white schools kindergarten over on St. Simon's at my childhood days.
All right, that just sparked a curiosity because I'm interested in finding out, why there were so many differences. But we can get to that when we get to high school.
Okay.
So you're in St. Simon's Elementary, you're in a segregated class, you're in one room most of the time with a bunch of different age groups.
Yes.
Beyond that, what was your community like?
Our community was very good. We had, it was black neighborhood. I don't recall any whites in our neighborhood. It's most like all the blacks were on Demery Road, which we are now, which is segregated now, of course. The whites was over near the King and Prince Hotel area, Beach View Drive area, and that ran from East Beach all the way down to the pier, where the whites was.
Okay.
Was the African American community on St. Simon's, was it a larger group or was it kind of a small?
The African American group over here was very small. Because most of the black kids, the well-to-do black kids, they went to Harrington Elementary, and the majority of the black kids on South End, that's what we call it, South End, where we are sitting now. We had our school over here on St. Simon's.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So that was, both schools were entirely black, but the well-to-do kids, their parents was much more involved in higher positions on jobs than our parents was over on this end, even though we all lived in the same neighborhood, but it was split.
So there was some upper class, middle class.
There was upper class, middle class, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
And was there any like tensions between the two different groups? Did y'all communicate, or did y'all stay in your own separate communities?
No, we all blended in together after school.
Okay.
And the reason for that, most of us were kin to each other.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the blessing that we had living in a black neighborhood, even though we went to two different schools, Harrington and St. Simon's. But after school, we all came back on the south end here and played basketball. We swam together, and we partied together, and we were just like one happy black family.
Now, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Brandi, but what were you said swimming, were the beaches segregated?
The beaches, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm glad you asked that. The beaches were segregated at that time. Black people couldn't swim over near the King and Prince Hotel area or the pier area. The blacks had to go all the way down to the Gulf Coast area, which was very muddy, to swim. And after segregation, we were able to start using the beaches around East Beach and Beachview Drive area. And of course, my brother and I was very fortunate because my mother was employed at the Julia May Counselors. My mother, bless her heart, God bless the dead, she worked at the King and Prince Hotel. My brother and I was very fortunate because we were able to swim in the King and Prince Hotel swimming pool and the beach without any problems. And we had about 4 or 5 cousins working there too. George Lawson was the head matron d' there at the King and Prince Hotel, and he was my 3rd cousin. So we had no problems. I don't recall having any problems, none whatsoever, with white people, because most of them knew my mother anyway on St. Simon's, and she was a cook. So the white people just didn't bother us. And the matter of fact, my mother worked for a private couple over here on St. Simon's, and they had a swimming pool, and we swam with their children in the swimming pool, and there was no animosity with the neighbors. We in this community, white and blacks got along together much better then because everybody knew each other, and it was a pleasure to mix. And even not getting off the subject, even when we went to high school, we didn't have any problems with the whites. And that was in the 1960s. We had no problems playing football, basketball, Risley High School, Glen Academy. There was no fights amongst the whites like the situation is today, because most of the whites on St. Simon's knew each other. They played with us at the the casino, Glenn County Casino, down to the pier. We had no problem swimming in the white swimming pool per se. We all got along together. We had no problems. There was a few whites that didn't like black people, but on the other end, there was a few black people didn't like a lot of white people. And but lo and behold, my family was very respected because my parents brought us up in a Christian-like manner. Well, we always went to church at Emmanuel Baptist Church on Demery Road, St. Simon's, 1047 Demery Road. That's going towards the pier, 3 blocks from my home where I live now. And we were brought up in a Christian-like manner. And the white people just loved us. If I might say, one of the white families that owned the St. Simon's drugstore down at the pier, blacks couldn't sit down and have a soda at the fountain. We blacks, a few of us black boys and girls, went down to the pier one day and we integrated. We said, y'all gonna serve us because we are not gonna leave. And no police was called or nothing, and we finally was served. And after that time, that was about 64, 65, we had no problems going into white establishments. There was a few that we couldn't go to, but Mrs. C.M. Ward, she was a very sweet white lady, her and her family. They took black people, smart, very smart, bright black kids, and had us going to Boy Scout jamborees. She supported the blacks that was over here. She paid our way to Boy Scout jamborees. She sent us to Moody Air Force Base on a C-119 cargo jet to the Boy Scout jamboree down Florida. And my mother and father and the rest of us black kids, we didn't have to pay not one penny.
So Miss Ward was just what was her role in the community?
She lived on East Beach, and she was owner of St. Simon's Drugstore at the pier.
How do you remember how you felt growing up, knowing that there was a segregation, that there were places that you could not go to, and that other people had the right to go to? Do you remember feeling, like, what did you feel like? Or was it just like a normal part of your life?
It was a normal part of my life and my brother's life. And I could say for the rest of our black community, we didn't even think about it. The only bad part about it, when we went to Brunswick, we couldn't go to Crest store and drink water out the white fountain. They had a sign up there, black, white. And so we blacks, we tested it one day. We were just that bold. We were kind kids, but we were just determined to ask, what's the difference in the water, black and white? It all looked the same to us. And yeah, and so the bathrooms was the same way. There was white and black bathrooms, and we just couldn't see the difference in it. And we just definitely boldly went in the bathroom just to test and see what they were going to say. We drank the white water, and we made fun out of it. No police was called. We were looked at and frowned on, of course, but we we were just determined to not let the white people overrule us, because we were all the same human, and that's how we was raised up. And we was raised up to not to hold our heads down. We were always look the white man in the face, whether he liked it or not. And I still do that today when I'm talking to the white man, because there's no difference. It's just difference in the color. When I went to the military, I didn't see no difference in the whites taking a shower with me. Uh, a few of them felt like that from the beginning, but 49 guys in a barracks, I was number 50. I was in charge of the barracks. I was sergeant in charge. I had 4 white squad leaders. And so their detention was moderate, because you had to work as a team in your barracks. And when we was released from basic training and came home, we still acted like we belonged to the neighborhood, because we went out and got our military experience, and there was no feeling. I never felt like I was less than the white kids. I ate good food. We ate at white people houses. My mother worked on Sea Island again for some rich people after the King and Prince Hotel. And she stayed over on Sea Island. She had her own room over there near the Cloister Hotel. We stayed over there a few nights at the white people house. We had our own quarters. We ate over there. And each holiday, the white people made sure that we had enough food here at our home. So actually, during that time, I felt proud of being black, and I still do. We had a few racial incidents, but not to the extent of what we have today. I was called nigger quite a few times. Matter of fact, here recently I was called nigger, and I smile at it, because I said to myself, you don't even know the word nigger. I say, you look it up in the book. I say, in the dictionary, I say, nigger is a low-rated, downgraded individual, and you could be a nigger too. Yeah, the word, I don't fist fight over it. I smile over it, because I can say, that's someone who is non-religious, who have a different opinion about growth. And I pat him on the back. I say, praise the Lord, brother.
Now, would you say those conflicts happened while you were more of a teenager, a kid, or
Yeah.
as an adult? So?
Yeah, those a few. I had a few incidents growing up as an adult, but as a kid, I had I don't encounter any fights in this neighborhood of Brunswick with any whites. We didn't have any fights, really. I had more fights with the blacks than I did with the whites.
Did you see a difference between race relations on St. Simon's and in Brunswick?
Yeah.
Was there a difference there?
Yeah, there is still a difference. There's a difference, because most of the white people and black people in Brunswick say, y'all are uppity, y'all are well-to-do, y'all from the island, y'all, and they still doing it now. Yeah, even though we were bused to school, the whites was bused, we were bused, we rode on integrated buses.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, the white people rode on one bus, and we had black people from St. Simon's and Harrington rode on separate buses.
Oh, so you had separate buses going.
Yeah, and the reason for that was because the integrated school. Okay, so you had Glen Academy, and then you had Risley. That
and
was
Risley, where you went to school?
yeah. That was the Memorial Building, which is standing now. The Risley Memorial, yes, and that's the building on Albany Street, and yeah. That's the memorial. We went there from St. Simon's to the 6th grade, from 6th to 9th. Okay, at the Colored Memorial School. It was Risley. Okay. After 9th grade, we went to the junior high school, which is Risley, on 2900 Albany Street. That was a brand new junior high school, so the kindergarten school is still there, which is the Memorial Building, and they now are fixing to incorporate that with a neighborhood-like type center for the people in the neighborhood. The high school now is a school for troubled kids. That's our high school.
Middle school at Risley.
Excuse me?
I went to middle school at Risley.
Oh, you did?
I did, and I can remember walking in the front hall, going, right up to the office, and there were walls of photographs of it being all of the Risley High graduates.
Okay. Oh, all right.
It's always very important part of being a part of that school to learn about the history of Risley High School. And so it really amazes me now, I guess, because Risley is now out off of exit 29, and it's a completely different school than what I attended. And I think some of that history has been lost. So I'm really excited about this project because I think it's an important part of our local history.
That's correct. My class was the class of 1959. We were the largest class that graduated from Risley High School. And we had dedicated teachers there. The principal was very dedicated.
Who was the principal?
The principal was Mr. Wilkerson at that time. We used to call him Foots because he had about a 13th shoe.
All right.
And when he walked down the hallway, you didn't hear a pin drop because he was heavy stepping, and you really paid attention to him when he spoke because he had a voice that all he had to do was just open his mouth and you shut up.
Was he a nice guy?
He's very nice, yeah. Mr. Wilkerson was a very nice gentleman. And also the teachers, they were very nice. And I was one of the good students because during that time, most of the, one or two teachers were relatives of mine, and so my brother and I, we had to be good because we had truant officers at that time, and the truant officers would come to your home if there was any fights or any kind of disobedience amongst us. The truant officer would come straight to your home and tell your parents.
That's scary.
And also the teachers would do the same thing because Mr. Walter Belton, he was a relative of mine, and he would come over here and tell my mother if my brother stepped out of line. Also, we had Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry didn't play basketball with you. He would take a rule and hit you on the neck in a minute, and he made you get that mathematics. And all of our teachers were all black. We had no white teachers, and they were very dedicated and made sure that each of us had good grades, and they
So
really
there,
stuck. Yeah, they really stuck with us. If I might, Doctor, here's the principal and of Risley at that time,
Okay.
Mr. Wilkerson, R.J. Wilkerson, and I was a very good student. My brother and I, we played in the band. I played drums. My brother played trombone at Risley. Risley High, we were called the High Steppers. We had one of the top bands. Matter of fact, our school band was better than Glen Academy band. And we had nothing but claps when we walked, marched down the street. We had the football teams. We had the best football team, better than Glen Academy. Risley was a very good school, outstanding school, and if I may, I would like to give Dr. Mumford also this picture of we used to call him Beefsteak. He was one of our teachers, and he was very good to us. He taught at Glen Academy and Risley, and he was one of the top football coaches and a football player
And his
at
name was
Risley High
Beefsteak.
School. Beefsteak.
Beefsteak. What was his real name?
Mr. Williams. B.J. Williams.
Beefsteak is a fantastic
Beefsteak.
name for a football player.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes, Beefsteak. Yeah, he was tall, and he was also a coach at Glen Academy High School also.
At the same time or a different time?
Different time.
now, do you remember? Because I'm not aware of when Risley High ceased to exist.
Risley High ceased to exist around 1978, somewhere in there. Is when 1977, 76, 77, when it was, we went to Glen Academy when it was integrated. About that time.
And do you feel like, because it seems to me like you had a real sense of community in St. Simon's, and that you also had a real sense of community at Risley High. Do you feel like you lost that when integration happened? Or do you feel like it just enhanced it?
Oh, yes. We had the worst books because the Board of Education gave us secondary books and gave Glen Academy white kids the best books. And we had the secondary books, torn pages and things like that. I felt very bad because we were second to the whites in that aspect. It took a couple of years for us to really get good books and be recognized, and that wasn't until we started beating them in football.
Now, do you think that the kind of secondary status made you guys bond more at school?
Yes, it did. It did, the whites and the blacks. Yeah, but we really didn't feel comfortable going to Glen Academy High School. We preferred being at our own black school. We felt better because we felt like our teachers was closer to us. And going to a different school at that time was a lot of pressure. And I think most of the black kids felt that way, of the pressure. And now I had a chance to work at Glen Academy for a whole year and then school suspension as coordinator last year. And there is still some tension amongst blacks and the white teachers. A lot of black kids just feel like a lot of white teachers is just not taking time with them as they do whites.
Interesting.
Mhm. So there's still tension. There's still tension. There's still tension right now.
And I wonder, okay, so this was going to be one of my questions later, but since it's been brought up, I'd like to go ahead and address it. It seems to me that a lot of steps were taken back in the late 50s, early 60s for equal rights and integration. And there were a lot of monumental people that made large strides, black and white, to make that happen. And one of the things that were in that video, The Quiet Conflict, was about everyone working together for a common goal. Do you feel, because you have lived here your entire life and you've had a remarkable career that has taken you different places, do you feel that we have continued to evolve where racial concerns are, or have we stagnated, or have we regressed, in your opinion?
My opinion, we have come a long ways, but we do have a long ways to go. There is still prejudice in Brunswick, St. Simon's, but you just have to overlook those prejudice, and you just have to just don't look back. You have to look forward, and you have to use your spiritual knowledge and your education as saying, hey, I'm just as important, I'm just as educated as anybody else who don't like me. Everybody's not going to like you. I have a lot of blacks don't like me because for one reason or another, but yet and still there's a lot of blacks that I don't care for either because of their ways, their actions. Yeah, so it works both ways. Now, I have more white friends than I do black friends. I always did.
The opposite of you.
Always did. Growing up, I had more white friends than I did black friends.
Why do you think that is?
Blacks, a lot of black people are just like a bunch of crabs. That's an age-old thing. Once a black person move up the ladder, the other blacks get jealous and wants to disrespect you, try to pull you down. They'll do anything to try to pull you down, and that's one thing that the blacks are guilty of now, and that's the reason why we can't move, because blacks are against blacks for some reason, and that's because if I go to college, I get a degree, I come back home, there's a lot of blacks who won't even speak to me.
Because you're considered a sellout.
Yeah, I'm a sellout. That's correct.
Right.
I'm just a come here, a come back home nigger. And black people use that word more than white word amongst each other, you see? And so you can't get mad when the whites call you a nigger, you know, because you're using it yourself amongst
Right.
each other.
So there's racial tensions between the African American community, is what you're saying.
Yes, yes it is. Yes it is. You can see that now.
More of probably a social, economic kind of tension.
Yes it is. Yes it is. Yes it is. You can see blacks shooting each other. You know, you don't see as many whites shooting each other, you know? And it's for different reasons. A lot of people want to put it on tension, but I put it on stupidity. You know, hey, I work hard for what I got. I sometimes work 2 and 3 jobs to raise my family. And I don't care if another black person don't like me. That's that's him. I'm not going to bend that low. I'm going to always stay on the high road.
It's a good attitude.
Yes.
So let's go back for a second, if we can, to Risley High School. I feel like we kind of rushed through that one. I want to go talk some more about Risley. But before we do that, Brandi mentioned the idea of that both whites and blacks working together during the 1960s, based upon that documentary that we saw, The Quiet Conflict. Growing up during that period, you would have been somewhat aware of that, most likely, at least a little bit aware of what was going on. Do you remember any sort of organizations or people that were instrumental in trying to make, segregation, or rather, end segregation and integrate the area more than it was at the time?
Yes. Well, just looking at the documentary, yes, the NAACP, Reverend Hope, he was very instrumental in segregation. I think that the whites at that particular time, there was a few that really didn't like blacks, but yet and still they were trying to work the situation out, and we didn't have riots and hatred, setting fires like they're doing nowadays. The whites, the majority of them tried to work out with the NAACP and the black community. Yes, there were a few whites that didn't care for blacks, and there today there's a lot of them that don't care. I can go to a job to get a job, and they'll tell me I'm too educated for the job, and that happened to me when I moved back home from New York after I left the Army.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Brooklyn College. I attended Brooklyn College. Come back home, tried to get a job at the mill, Panova, and the white man looked at me from the office. The car, that was a rented Buick that I had when I moved here. He said, "You don't need, you won't fit in here.
Huh.
You won't fit in here with that car you're driving." I said, "Oh." I said, "What's wrong with it?" I said, "I just want a job so I could build my house and raise my family." Mr. Smith said, "Well, I don't think you fit in working. What kind of work you want to do?" I said, "Anything, anything." "Well, the people out here, I don't think they will accept you." I said, "I don't understand what you're talking about. Thanks for the interview." And I say, "Have a nice day, sir."
Do you remember when this was? Like what year this was?
Yeah, that was 1973.
1973.
Yeah,
So
I moved back home.
Interesting. Okay. So you think because you moved away for a while and came back, that people looked at you a little bit different then?
Yeah,
As
they
kind of
did.
an outsider.
Yeah, I'm an outsider.
Uh,
Yeah, and that's how I ended up in the radio.
we're going to talk about that a little bit later on, your radio career.
Yeah.
Going back to 1960s again. So the NAACP was pretty big in this area during
Yes.
that decade.
Yes,
Do
it
you remember
was.
anything about that organization, what they were doing, who was involved with it, and that sort of thing?
At that particular time, as I say, Mr. Hope, Reverend Hope was at that particular time. You had Mr. Robert Griffin, who's a black school teacher, retired, and you had Miss Venus Holmes, who just passed away with the NAACP, and you had Mrs. Ladd, Miss Gladys Ladd, who is deceased.
And they were all they were all members, and they were all.
They were in charge of the NAACP, president of the NAACP.
And so you would say that the NAACP took the lead around here in terms of civil rights causes and activism and that
Yes,
sort of thing.
yes, and there was never any big problems with the whites talking about the NAACP at that particular time. It was all black until integration. Then we had whites start joining in the NAACP also.
Right, yeah, it was a multiracial, multicultural organization, right? So,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you remember, as far as pushback against all of this, there was a group called the White Citizens Council, or something along those lines during that period? Do you
Yes.
remember any sort of like anti-integration groups pushing back against the NAACP, what they were trying to do?
I don't recall too much about it, but there was Ku Klux Klan in the area.
So there was some Klan activity.
There was some Klan activity, but it didn't scare us blacks.
Were they out and about, or were they just kind of...
They were hidden.
hidden?
Yeah, they were hidden. I don't recall any crosses being burnt too much. It might have been one or two.
Is that right?
Yeah, but I don't recall any big events from the KKK.
They just let you know they were there.
We knew they were there because of their actions and the way they look at you when you went to get a job. You know, they always want you to be a custodian, not an office worker.
Do you think there were a lot of Klan members kind of around the area, just kind of hiding? Or
I think they are still, I think they are still hiding out right now. I wouldn't pinpoint any particular ones, but yeah, they are here. They are hidden. They're hidden in the south. They're hidden in Brunswick. They're hidden more in the north.
That's true. They are.
Oh yeah.
Right? So,
Oh yeah. They're out there.
Sorry, Brandi. Go ahead. Sorry.
To respect a group that hides, because see, with the civil rights movement, everything came out in the open, in my opinion, from the history that I've read. And yet, I mean, we're talking about 40, 50 years later, and they're hiding, but they're still there and we're aware of it. That's got to be disheartening.
It is very disheartening, but you can't live in the past. At the Colored Memorial School, Risley High School, it was opened in 1870, and you can't go back to the 1870s. This is 2020.
Right.
Yeah, and we have to learn how to live together, white and black, because when you get cut, your blood and my blood is still red. I haven't seen any black blood.
Very true.
And I learned that in the military. Your white buddies, they bleed just like you do.
Sure.
when you get in an accident.
Let's talk more about Risley then.
Mhm.
So again, I feel like we kind of glossed over that. But tell us about what was Risley like. So what did it look like on the inside, on the outside? What do the classrooms look like? What do you remember about it?
At the Memorial Building?
Yes.
Yes, the Memorial Building, the classes were very spaced out. I would say 25 to 30 kids in a class. In the Memorial Building, there was upstairs and downstairs. There was 2 flights. Risley High, junior high, it was just all on that split level, just like now.
So it's 2 separate buildings, junior high and high school.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The Memorial Building is still standing on Albany Street.
Okay.
And that's the Memorial Building, and that's where we have alumni meetings. Right there, still. The gym is still there, the same seats and everything.
So you have classrooms with chalkboards and teachers and desks and all that. And
Yes. Yeah. They don't have smart boards like now. You had erasers, and I could remember getting hit quite a few times with an eraser by a teacher.
throwing it at you? Or?
Yeah, and all that chalk just come all over you.
So you got into trouble sometimes. Huh?
Yeah, I did get in mischief. Fooling around in the class, making jokes, and I was just plain old kid, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I tell the kids now. I say, I develop your tricks. So I can look at you, and I could tell what you're going to do before you did. I say I developed that.
Do any of your teachers stand out to you? People who kind of had maybe quirky ways, or were real disciplinarians, or?
They were very disciplinarian. Yeah, we the boys, the men teachers had what you call a paddle with holes in it, and you were pledged not to disrespect the teachers, get off board, because they were hit you with that paddle, and you felt it, believe it or not. They would, yeah, they would take you to the bathroom and make you stoop over the sink, and you would get hit 3 or 4 times with that paddle, and you bet not there was no such thing as 911. When you got home, you got another whipping. So you had a tough time going to sleep that night. Because, yeah,
He had the same paddle at our house.
yeah,
We have 5 daughters in mine.
and I just hope that the majority of parents right now have one or get one, because the kids get really out of line in schools now.
Yes, they do. Well, I wanted to ask a couple of other questions. One of them is leading out of Risley High. So you left Risley High and you went to Glen Patton. When maybe would be the better question, did you know you wanted to do something beyond secondary school? That you wanted to possibly go to the military, go to college? When did you decide that was something that you wanted to do?
Yes. After I graduated in 1959, I decided that I wanted to go to the military and make something out of myself. And that's what I did. I went to the military, and being a Boy Scout, I was able to be in charge of 49 guys. I was the 50th guy in the military, and I had a very good military life. I was a sergeant, first class, in the military, and basic training.
Where'd you go for basic training?
I went to Fort Polk, Louisiana, which is one of the worst places that I've ever seen in the world. And you ran 2 miles over heavy rocks every morning, and I was in a tank outfit, which I learned a lot about shooting heavy weapons. And I went to Fort Benning, also, Fort Polk, Louisiana, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and from the National Guard. And that's how I really grew up to be a man.
When did you join the military?
I joined the military in 1959, 59, 60, and 1960. I joined the military.
Okay.
And of course, right now I'm still in the Civil Air Patrol. I'm a second lieutenant in the Civil Air Patrol, St. Simons.
So you stayed very active in the services.
Yes, yes. I like the military outfit because of the brotherhood.
So you felt that bond there, huh?
Yeah, I feel the bond there, and I was just recognized here last year for second lieutenant in the Civil Air Patrol.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Brandi. But while you were in the military, so you went to Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Were you ever sent out of the country or
No,
anything like that?
no. I was lucky enough not to be sent out of the country. I always stay stateside.
That's the rule, huh?
Yes.
And how long were you in the military?
13 years.
And was that the best option for you, leaving high school as an African American in the 50s? Was that the best option for you, was to go to military school or go to the military versus going on to college?
Yes, yes, at that particular time, it was the best for me because I wanted to leave Brunswick.
I got you. I don't blame you.
Yeah, yeah. I went to leave Brunswick. I did attend college, Brooklyn College, New York City, uh, before the military and doing military. I went 3 years at Brooklyn College, New York City. Also,
Was it more progressive than what you had experienced in St. Simon's in Brunswick? Is
it,
there thing towards integration?
I didn't feel any integration, uh, peers in integration with any of the white teachers or anything, because going to college when you had to pay, you didn't have time to think about any prejudices. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, you were there to get that lesson. And
Right.
yeah, 3 years at
Now,
Brooklyn College.
beyond Brooklyn College, so you're out of the military at this point. What is your life like?
My life now,
Well, beyond college, I know that one of the things that were specified in the information that I was given from Dr. Muntford was concerning a Genoa Martin.
yeah, Janora yeah, Janora Martin.
How he played, what he was to you, and what role he played in your life.
Yeah, if you could tell us about him. Who
Yeah.
was he? How did you meet up and what happened?
Janora Martin, I met him when I moved back home to live, and Janora was just like a father to me. He took me under his wings because I was already licensed at a third class BBC British broadcast license to broadcast overseas or broadcast here in America. And at that time, I had to take it while I was going to college in New York. I had to take element 1, 2, and 9 to get my license. It took 4 hours to get that radio license. They took you to 4 different categories. Yeah, you had to take oral speech communication. You had to learn how to read meters. You had to have math and English background, good English.
So you were interested in radio broadcasting,
Yes.
and who exactly? And whenever you came back to Brunswick, and
Yes.
this is probably in the 70s.
This was in the 70s.
70s?
Yeah.
So you met who was Genoa Martin?
Genoa Martin was manager of Selden Recreation Park at that time, and he took me under his wings after he knew that I wanted to broadcast radio, and he sat me down on a daily basis, and he lived on Jekyll Island, of course, had a home there. I visited him, and he taught me a lot about how to carry myself in my community, coming back home, be outstanding, and he would help me get on radio. He took me on his wings and taught me all elements of radio.
So he was key to a lot, you as a person, but even other people in the community as well, right? In
Yes.
terms of
Yes. He used to have different jazz bands, Little Richard, all the big B.B. King here, and I used to follow him foot to foot, and doing broadcasts, play-by-play. I even did play-by-play for the football games with him, and that's how I got interested in radio.
That's pretty
And
fascinating.
yeah, and then after a year or two, I was able to get my own show here at WMOG, which was very good. I was Glory Train Gospel Radio announcer for a number of years at 2 radio stations.
So what was the Glory Train?
The Glory Train was a gospel radio program that I was in charge of, and it was at that time owned by Root Communication, WMOG Radio. We were located on the causeway, at the end of the causeway, St. Simon's Causeway, in a little white building where the tower is now. That's where we started out broadcasting from there. And from there, we moved the radio station to Blythe Island. Spankies, right here where the boats are, upstairs. Moved from there, Spankies, and I was in charge of the Glory Train Gospel program, with gospel music. I had a chance to do the show for a number of years. Every Sunday morning I came on at 10 a.m. and I would open up the program with the Glory Train music, and I would come on saying, good morning, this is DJ at Council. Welcome, we are playing now music. Stand by for this particular song. I'll be with you for the next 3 hours this morning. Tune in and I'll start playing the music. And I did that at WMOG for a number of years, and I worked from WMOG Radio, also from WGIG, WMOG, WYNR. I did country music for WYNR, WCGA here in Brunswick, and 100.3 FM here in Brunswick for a number of years.
So you had several radio stations you worked for. When
Yes.
did you start at WMOG?
I started WMOG, let's see, about 1980.
1980. And you started doing the Glory Train that same year, probably?
The same year.
And that lasted for how long?
That lasts for about 13, 14 years.
Wow.
And
From
was
6,
that on specific days?
yeah, only on Sundays, Sunday morning.
I can remember, because I'm not a child by any means.
Okay.
My grandparents, my grandfather actually worked for public housing, and he did their maintenance until he retired.
Okay.
And every Sunday, my mom and I would go over and see my grandparents, and he would have that playing. He always had something playing on the radio.
Yes.
He was not a TV guy, he was a radio guy.
Right.
And I can remember being over there, and that would be playing on the radio on a Sunday afternoon, early afternoon.
Yeah.
So this was probably around 1980, 1981, 82, and I was probably about 6 or 7. But I can remember that, and it was very important to my grandparents at that time that was just something that was normal and that what we listened to and what we did.
Yes. Yes.
And so it was very cross-cultural, whether you are aware of that or not. It was not just specifically for a certain group.
No, it was not.
Right.
Yeah, I
find that fascinating because, that ties into some of my history. So that even makes me more invested in this interview. I have no idea.
Yeah, my program was developed for the community and not just for whites, because I had just as many white people calling me, men and women calling me to play different songs for them also. And when I come out in the neighborhood, they would tell me that they did listen at my program. So my program, I did not want a all-black program. I wanted gospel music is for everybody.
That's
White,
right.
white and black, Mexicans, whoever. And if I may, I typed this up in 2002. If I may read this from the radio.
Sure.
Definitely.
For almost 30 years, that was 30 years, Ed Council distinguished voice carries over the airways into the homes of hundreds of people, to many who could not attend a Sunday church. Mr. Council, who played gospel music and provided local news roundups. He loved his work and developed a powerful gospel audience in Brunswick, Georgia, the Golden Isles, including parts of Florida, Camden County, Brantley County, Sapelo Island, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia. That's how for my broadcast extended out for Sunday morning. Through Ed's entertainment segments and brotherhood of spiritual traditional gospel music, it gave the radio audience a feeling of educational, cultural, socialization, sporting events from around the state and nation. So you could see how my mind was in developing the gospel program called The Glory Train. And after I left...
And you were concerned with every individual, not a particular group.
That's correct. That's correct. And if I may, I would try to play a little of that song, The Glory Train.
Sure.
If I may, I'll see. Can I?
Maybe we can get a copy too, to add to the collection.
Okay.
Oh, come on, my friend.
So that's how I came on.
Every day.
Every day.
That's
I
nice.
love it.
Did you have a radio voice, Ed, or did you?
Yes, yes. I developed that radio voice. Janora Martin always told me to be Ed Council and not to be Eddie OJ. And also speak from the diaphragm and not from the neck. And sit back and relax. And don't try to be another DJ. Just try to be Ed Council. And that's what Janora taught me.
Mr. Martin had a pretty profound effect on you.
Yes, he did. He was just like a father to me. And also we had two more black radio announcers after I left at 11 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Fran Tyson, she took over. No, she came on at 11 o'clock, yeah, and she worked 4 hours. And then Tim Ransom came on and did the midnight program.
Now, were these all gospel, or was it
All gospel.
All gospel.
All gospel on Sundays.
So WMOG was a gospel station.
That's correct.
Okay.
It was a segment.
A segment. Okay.
A segment. Yeah. They just had Sunday morning gospel, but now gospel is 24 hours a day.
Right.
Yeah. 97.5. Now it's 24 hours a day, and 97.6, I think it is, 24 hours a day, owned by WMOG.
So who was involved with WMOG back then? What was that little station like on the Causeway?
Scott Rifen was in charge of the radio station during that time, and the station during that time was owned by Root Communication.
Now you guys worked together, you cooperated together, collaborated together?
Yes, how we cooperated together. Mm-hmm.
Good group of people?
Good group of people. There was no prejudice shown. The matter of fact, it was very funny. Lenny McDonald worked with me also, white radio announcer at WYNR. At WYNR, he worked with me and taught me radio. And Lenny played a trick on me, teaching me country music. Okay, I did country music before I started doing gospel music. He said, "Here's the board." He said, showed me a few little dials and things like that. And when I looked around, Lenny say, "Okay, you can go ahead and start." Lenny walked out.
We'll take a break for a second. We can talk about. Yeah, we can tell the story again.
No, I'm gonna break this down.
Brandi, you still there?
You still there?
All right.
Oh, okay. I got it off. Okay. I was able to figure out the board by writing the dials down on the paper, and good thing I did, because Lenny took off, left me in the studio by myself, and I started sweating up under the arm, and I didn't know what to do. I opened the mic, and gee whiz, I started stumbling. I cut the mic off, put the music on. Lenny didn't come back in there until about an hour. And he said, "How do you feel?" I say, "Man, I say you need to be quiet." I say I say you know you played a trick on me.
You got indoctrinated.
I got indoctrinated in country music, and I love country music today, and I think it's one of the best things that Lenny could have done for me, is breaking me in on country music, and I'm still
Who's your favorite country music artist?
The Oak Ridge Boys.
Wonderful, excellent.
Yeah. Let me see. Who else? I have several. Oak Ridge Boys is my best.
Oak Ridge Boys, my dad listened to that all the time.
Yeah. Carrie Underwood. I like Carrie Underwood also. Huh?
What about Charlie Pride?
Charlie Pride. Yeah. I miss him.
Alabama. My dad's in Alabama.
Yeah. He was very good as a black country singer. Very good.
Well, my daddy always played 8-tracks when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Or reel-to-reels. And we always listened to Charlie Pride, Percy Sledge.
Yeah.
Dolly Parton, of course.
Oh yeah. That's I loved it.
That is the roots of country music in my life.
Yes, I remember the old 8-tracks, and yeah, I do have a 7-inch reel-to-reel now with a lot of my radio broadcasts on reel-to-reel, and yeah, I have 1 or 2 videos also that I videoed on air myself, and I still have those also.
Well, we've been talking.
I have a question that I need to know.
Go ahead.
How did you become a police officer?
Hey, before we start this, we've been talking now for about an hour and 20 minutes. Are we all okay? Everybody okay?
Yeah, I'm
I'm
okay.
good.
I'm good.
All right, if we're good, keep on going then. All right, ready
Okay.
to ask it again.
Okay, I want to know how you went into the field of police officer.
I wanted to work with the community, crime fighting. After radio, during school, I was the first resource officer in Glenn County School. I was security officer in charge of security at the college before that, and from the college I had a chance to go to the police academy.
Now, when was all this taking place? When did you do all
The college, that was, gee whiz, what year was that in the College of Coastal Georgia? Let's see. That was in 1990.
Okay.
Yeah, 1990, when I was going to college. I was able to go to the police academy through Brunswick Junior College. Mr. Teal was president of the college during that time, and I worked with Johnny Boatwright as security officer. They used to call me SWAT on the campus because I watched everything. And I was also called Eagle Eye.
So you worked on campus as a law enforcement, as a campus security?
Yes, that's where I first started working in law enforcement. And then after that, I went to Kings Bay Navy Base in security. I worked there for a year or two. St. Mary's Police Department, I worked there. I was trying to see which division I wanted to go in. And then I left there with Camden County Sheriff Department for a couple of years as deputy under Bill Smith.
Now, what was that like in Camden County working for the police?
Camden County was nice to work with because the community was closely knit. And it was a difference in working Brunswick Police Department and working Camden County. The people were much kinder to you. They respected you more than when I started working in Brunswick. There was a big difference between night and day.
Did you do Brunswick after Camden County?
Yeah, I did Brunswick after Camden County. That's when I went to the school system. I left the Brunswick Police Department and went into the school system. And I left the school system.
Let me ask one question.
Okay.
Was the lack of respect, was that due to you being an African American or being a police officer, or was it a combination?
It was a combination here in Brunswick.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a combination. And I prefer, if I had to go back into police work, I would prefer going to Camden County to work there because the nature of the people there, they treat you better, and they respect you because I think maybe because of the Navy personnel.
That makes sense.
There, yeah.
Now, were there a lot of African Americans in the police force then in Camden or Brunswick?
Yeah.
Were there?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yes. And then I had a chance after Brunswick in the school system. At one period of time, I went to Flexi and worked security at Flexi, and that's when I ended up working. I worked CCTV for a while, and then I decided to take a class, go to United States Marshal School. I graduated as a United States Marshal, and gee whiz, after graduating, they wanted to send me to Arista, New Mexico, and I say, forget it. I'm not going to Mexico. This black boy is not going to Mexico. And I decided to not go, and I couldn't get a job at the post office here upstairs, working as United States Marshal. They wanted to send me to Savannah. I say, heck no, I'm not going to Savannah to work either. I'm not driving up there every day. And so I ended up here working in the court system for a while, and I got tired of hearing people's problems in the court. I worked under Judge Scoggins, Judge Amanda Williams, and I just gave that up too. I didn't like it.
Too much drama?
It was too much drama, and don't sit through a divorce case, my God. And then you have to follow the judge. You had to take him to her to lunch. You had to bring him back to lunch, and if it was sequestered to go out of town, you had to go out of town. And so I didn't like working in the court system either.
Yeah, you're responsible for their security, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm the bodyguard. Yeah, and my life as a police officer was somewhat good. I wouldn't go into it now for no reason at all, because gee whiz, my life expectancy out there would be 0.
You think policing has changed since you were a police officer? Like the way police do their job, has it changed some since then?
Yes, and that is one of the biggest problems. We were taught to shoot if we were, if somebody had a knife and come at you with it, we were able to use the taser and not to shoot a person, not to shoot to kill. We were all taught shoot and don't shoot at Flexi, and most of the during restraint, once you had a person in cuff, you didn't have to do anything else but put them in the patrol car. You didn't have to put your knee on the neck, or you didn't have to choke a person. Once you had the cuffs on, put him in the car, go into the side of the post, lock him up. The police routine now has changed with white policemen and black policemen. I call them now the chewing tobacco boys.
Why is that?
Because when you find a cop that chews tobacco, watch out for him. He's gun-ho, okay? Yeah. And a lot of black cops chew tobacco. Watch out for them, too. They're gun-ho. Once you put on a badge and a gun, it don't give you the authority to kill somebody, okay? You restrain that person, but that person is still a human being, even though they made a mistake. You know, you do the crime, you do the time.
I have a question about all that.
Okay.
And maybe you can offer some insight. So, one of my questions is going to be, as a retired police officer, how do you feel about the current events concerning the national and local police departments? Now, what I mean by that is, it seems to me, and this is just based on my readings and things I see on the news, it seems to me that police officers are more fearful because the criminals that they are approaching, or maybe they're not criminals, but they are persons of interest, that they have no respect for authority figures at all. So it seems to me like that maybe they are very fearful and they act on that fear versus their training. Do you think that's true?
Yes, it is. Your adrenaline, it flows, and most of the white cops will not go by themselves into a black community because they fear. The fear is there. Most black cops don't want to go into a white community. I have been told going into situations, dispute between a husband and wife, white, the white cop can come in, but you have to stay out. I've had that happen to me several times, and I say, well, the white cop would say, hey, we are here together. If he can't come in, you have to call somebody else, okay, to resolve this problem. We was told that plenty of times. Yeah, it is fear. Once you get a call, your adrenaline starts kicking in because you don't know what to expect. Once you stop a car, you don't know what to expect. You don't know who that person is, what that person, where that person just come from, or what he just did. Especially working on the interstate, that is really dangerous because the drugs going back and forth, and when you pull a car over, you're subject to get shot right away. So you have to. Yeah, color don't see no gun.
So how do you solve that, do you think? Is it different types of training?
Yeah, all cops go through the same training. All cops. And you were told to call for backup. You don't get on the interstate unless you back up. If you're going into any situation, always get a backup. Don't try to be a macho cop, because you will get hurt. Yeah, a lot of cops are dead now, injured, because they went in without calling for backup. That's the mistake.
how do you think that we regain the balance between authority and criminal? If I'm pulled over, I have fear and respect for a police officer because I don't want to get in trouble, but not everybody's like that. There are people that are guilty and are like, I have no respect for you. How dare you pull me over? And they are very combative.
Yes.
How do you gain that respect, do you think? Or is it even possible?
There are a lot of majority of people out here. Once you pull them over, they just refuse. They really refuse to roll the windows down. Yeah, I've had a lot myself refuse to roll the window down, men or women. And that's when your adrenaline starts.
Sure.
Because they don't roll the windows down, and if you stick your hand in the window, they'll pull off and drag you. So you have to. It's a way that you pull that car over. It's a way that you approach that individual, that driver. Look on both sides of that car, especially if a passenger is in that car. And first thing you do, if the window is rolled down, put your hands on the steering wheel.
So they're visible.
So they're visible. Okay? And you open that door and you observe everything around, and then you ask them to step out. You don't pull them out. Like I've seen a lot of cops pull people out of their car. You don't do that.
Well, that provokes, in my opinion.
It does provoke.
It escalates the whole situation.
Yeah, and you are not there to escalate. You can't fight fire with fire.
Right.
You'll get burnt.
Yeah.
I had a good life as police because I treated people the way I wanted to be treated. And everybody's human.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you did the crime, you do the time. That is the bottom line. I'm out there to serve and defend and keep things calm as I could be. Okay? I keep calm, then that person is calm. You are human. If I'm gonna serve you papers, I serve you papers as amenable, Mr. Are you Mr. And that's the way you do people. Everybody's human. Okay? You don't go in and rawhide people. You don't do that.
It's a little bit of respect. I guess.
It's you respect. If you give respect, you get respect.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
As a police officer.
So that sounds like a very, very challenging job for you.
It's very it's very challenging.
But
Very challenging.
would you say there had to have been some really great moments though, right? In terms of your experiences as a police officer, as a marshal, people you met, people you helped or in some way remember you years later too. Maybe.
Yes. Oh yeah. I've had people right now that says to me, I remember you were in the police car. I remember you. And when people remember you and say something good, it makes you feel good. And if you put a person in detention, if you work in detention, you treat that person like a human being in detention. Just because that person did something, you are not there to hurt them. That person is still human.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? No matter what you did. And if you go into work every day and you believe that, you'll come home and able to rest yourself. Because if a family member of yours was in there and somebody mistreated them, how would you feel?
Right. That totally makes sense.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it works both ways.
So I have another question.
Okay.
So, did you start substitute teaching after retiring from police work?
Yes, I started substituting in 1985. I started out at working for JTPA, Job Training Program, where the old bus station used to be. That was
Right.
Yeah, that was school right there, and I worked there at JTPA for about a year or so with Faye Bodiford. She was in charge then, principal of the Job Corps. I taught job skills there.
Now, where was this?
Right where the old bus station.
Not familiar. So downtown Brunswick?
No, the bus station over near the projects. Over. Let's
Is that
see.
off of
Martin
not
Luther-
Norfolk Street,
Martin-
Newcastle Street?
Yeah, off of Newcastle. Down in that area.
Okay.
Okay, that's where the school used to be. Yeah, I worked there for about a year teaching job training skills.
Well, I will share with you. You have had quite an impact in my life, and you probably don't even know it. And I will say this. I told my daughter, she's 22, and she just graduated from Coastal, and she'll be teaching at the new Risley come August.
Wonderful.
Yes, and she is amazing. And I was telling her that I had an interview with Ed Council, and she said, Ed Council? She said, did he ever substitute teach? I said, you did. Because Dr. Mumford had given me that information. And she was like, well, he was a substitute for me a couple of times, and he was amazing. She said, I just respected him so much. And he did so much for our class, he probably doesn't even know it or even remember me. So I want you to know that the impact that you've had is just so far-reaching that you probably just have no idea.
Thank you. What school? What school did she attend?
She went to Alabama Elementary, and she went to Glendale Elementary, and she went to Needwood,
Okay.
and then Brunswick High.
Okay. Glendale, she probably knew me there as police officer. Also, Brunswick High, that's probably where I worked with her at Brunswick High.
She said, he was a police officer, wasn't he? And I said, he sure was.
She remembered.
That's great.
And you remember.
That's fantastic.
And
Thank you.
Really, you inspired her.
Thank you.
Believe it or not, because prior to her wanting to be a teacher, she wanted to be a baker, for crying out loud.
Well, I'm so
And
happy.
I was not having that.
I'm very happy you tell her hello for me, and congratulations graduating in college, and also you congratulations as a mother graduating with her.
Yeah. She beat me, you know.
Well, I'm happy.
But she inspired me, and you inspired her, so you are an amazing man.
Well, you made my day, and I really appreciate it, and I do appreciate having the opportunity to give some of my life skills. And in the future, I would like to continue with y'all to do the same at a later date, if I may.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do have two more questions for you,
Okay.
and these are going to be retrospective. One is, if there was one thing that you could share that would make an impact on the future of all people on St. Simons and Brunswick, all of Glenn County actually, what would that be and why?
If I may say this, I would like for everybody to continue banding together as one brother and sister in Christ and treat each other as human beings religiously. I think that this world will be a better world if we accept each other as brother and sister.
And do you have a way for that to happen?
yes, spiritually, do something good for somebody, even if you don't know them. Do
Okay.
something good for somebody, or say something good to somebody. Uh,
Like like a letter or
no, and greeting people in the store when you're shopping. Walk in the street, you pass by them. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Don't be an average New Yorker. Don't speak.
right.
Don't have
Yeah.
a 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah, that's 1,000 yard stare like you're on the subway, you know. Yeah.
Right.
Uh,
Now, one of my last questions, and then if Dr. Mumford has anything, I'll be happy with that too. But what impact do you hope that this interview and Dr. Mumford's class concerning the Albany Street and African American experiences, what do you hope that accomplishes?
I hope after this is viewed, my interview, I've been asked several times in the past to write a book or do an interview, and I'm very grateful to each of you for giving me the opportunity to share my lifestyle. I hope that whoever sees this, it will be a lesson to them to obey others and treat others as you wish to be treated. And I hope that it will be educational to whoever sees this, who see this, whether they are going to college. I hope this will be something that will instill in their mind that you can make it if you try. And that's a good status quo and my interview. And I just hope that I'm here to help somebody doing this interview. Make a difference. I'm trying to make a difference in somebody's life.
Well, I think you're accomplishing that, and have one final question.
Okay.
Is there anything that you would like to share that has not been addressed in our interview that you think is important for our future in this community?
And
Any experiences you've had we haven't talked about or anything like that?
in this community, I would like to see whites and blacks get along better in this community. I would like for black people to respect each other more and get up off their butt and be self-sufficient. I would like for them to not be out selling narcotics, doing stealing from those who work hard, sitting downtown on the parks. Get out and work, get off your butt and help yourself. And I would like to see that. I know a lot of homeless people are out there. I feel sorry for them. But if they get off their butt and get a job, I've told some of them sometimes, they beg me for $1. I say, hey, look, go get a job. They look at you like you're crazy.
They do.
Yeah, and I would,
Experience.
I would like for the homeless situation to decrease. I would like for them to be able to, like the Manor House, send them out on a job. Okay, don't just feed the people. Send them out on a job. Make them be self-sufficient. I know everybody don't have the opportunity to work. A lot of people have different illnesses, but get off your butt and get a job.
Think more programs would help them?
We need more programs, job training programs for them. Yes, yes. Locking a person up, being homeless is not doing any good, because you're going to have to pay for them to be locked up. wise. And so, yeah, we need more job training programs.
More Job Corps type thing.
More Job Corps type thing, yes.
And it needs to be more available, because even with Job Corps, there are so many things that you have to do to actually qualify. There are people out there that really have no qualifying features that they have lived day to day just existing. How do you propose that a program, or what type of a program, would be sufficient to help them?
I would say a program like Mel Gain is doing out at Job Corps, job training. That's number one. We have our vocational college also here, job training. But we need downtown area. We need a school, a one-room school maybe, an instructor. You could those buildings downtown that needs to be torn down, make it out of a job training program school.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this will work.
Well, one of the things that I'm hoping, and I shared with Dr. Lunsford my desire to be a part of the new cultural center that's going to be developed. And one of my things that I think would be important for that cultural center to incorporate is a program like that. Voluntarily attend, but it would plant a seed. Do you think that that would be something that would be helpful?
Yes, I do. That would be very helpful. I would like to see that. I hate to see a person sleeping in the streets, sleeping in the parks. Yes, we need someone like the truant officers, the police. We need them to participate, community policing, and talk to these people and try to get them into those programs.
Right.
Yes,
And
that
find-
will work.
And find homes for them as well.
Yes.
Or just build some more homes for them.
They're building a home now where the old bus station was.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. That would be for the homeless
Okay.
also. And yeah, we do need job training. The culture center, that will work. The Boys and Girls Club, it works. And so that would, I would love to see that.
All right.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Mumford, that's what you got to do now, you know.
Well, we're going to work on it one step at a time, one step at a time.
And hire me.
And hire everything else.
And hire me.
Then hire Mr. Kelso.
Yes.
I'm telling you what, if he can whip anybody into shape, it's everybody. All right. Well, that concludes all of my questions. Dr. Mumford, do you have any more?
Actually, I do, but I'm sure you're probably getting pretty tired. Ed, you wanna call it, or you wanna keep going a little bit longer?
We could call it.
Okay, let's call it for a while. I can always ask Mr. Council some questions again later on. So,
All right.
Brandi, why don't you
Okay.
wrap us up and just say thank you and all that.
All right, Mr. Council, I want to thank you for your time and for your participation in this project. We will now conclude our interview on July 15th, 2020 at 12:55 p.m. Again, it has been a pleasure getting to know you and your experiences. I appreciate you sharing your life with us. I do think it will make an impact in the future. It has in mine. I thank you, and I believe we'll stay in touch.
Brandi, thank you for having me in this interview. I really enjoyed it, both educationally and spiritually. And God bless each of you and your families. And y'all have a happy life together. And graduation, I love it. Both of you. God bless you. Tell your daughter hello from me. And tell her to always have Jesus first in her heart, and so are you.
I will tell her, I promise.
God bless you, and thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Council.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Mumford.
Absolutely.
Thank
Brandi,
you,
we'll talk
Dr.
soon,
Mumford.
okay?
All right, thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right.
I enjoyed it.